I sold everything to save the woman I loved. My house, my car, even my wedding ring. I believed love was worth any price. Until she survived and left me shattered. My name is Daniel Hayes. For 10 years, I believed I was living the dream. A beautiful wife, 2 kids, and a home that felt like heaven. But dreams, they have a cruel way of turning into nightmares. It all began on a gray Tuesday morning when my wife, Emily, collapsed in our kitchen. One minute, she was laughing with the kids over pancakes, and the next, she was on the floor, pale, gasping for air. The ambulance sirens still echo in my ears. At the hospital, the doctor's face was grave. Stage 3 ovarian cancer. Aggressive. If we move fast, we have a chance, but the treatment is costly. Costly didn't even come close. The number he put on the table nearly made me choke. $550,000. I remember Emily gripping my hand, tears streaming down her face. Daniel, we can't afford that. Don't ruin yourself for me. But what choice did I have? This was my wife, the mother of my children, my partner. I kissed her hand and whispered, I'll find a way. I swear I'll find a way. And so, I did. First went the house. The home where we raised our kids, painted the walls together, where I carried her across the threshold as a young bride. Sold. Then went the car. The one I'd worked 2 jobs to buy. Gone. Piece by piece, our life disappeared. Furniture, jewelry, even my father's old watch. Until finally, with trembling hands, I slipped off my wedding ring, the symbol of everything we'd built, and sold it too. All for her. Every night, I worked late shifts at a rundown motel, just to scrape together more money for her treatments. I lived on black coffee and vending machine sandwiches. But every morning, I'd show up at the hospital with a smile, holding Emily's hand, telling her we'd get through this. And somehow, miraculously, we did. After months of hell, the doctors said the words I'd been praying for. She's in remission. She's going to live. I remember collapsing in relief, tears of joy soaking my shirt. I thought it was the happiest day of my life. But I was wrong, because 3 weeks later, Emily looked me in the eye, cold as stone, and said, Daniel, I want a divorce. At first, I laughed. I thought it was some cruel joke. After everything I sacrificed, every tear, every dollar, every night I begged God to spare her life. She wanted to leave me? She didn't even blink. I want a real man now, she sneered. Not a broke loser who can't give me the life I deserve. Those words cut deeper than any knife. In the divorce court, she stripped me of what little I had left. Half of my savings gone, full custody of the kids. And as if to twist the blade deeper, she walked out holding the hand of another man, taller, richer, smirking at me as though I was dirt beneath his shoes. Broken, I checked into the very same motel where I once cleaned rooms for pennies. A room that stank of mildew, with peeling wallpaper and a single flickering bulb. I sat on the edge of that bed, staring at the floor, wondering if my life had ended without me realizing it. But then, that night, there was a knock on my door. A slow, heavy knock that echoed in the silence. I opened it, and standing there was a man I'd never seen before. A man in a dark suit, holding an envelope. Daniel Hayes, he asked. His voice was deep, calm, unsettling. Yes, I whispered. He handed me the envelope. It's time you learned the truth. And just like that, everything I thought I knew about my wife, my marriage, and my sacrifices began to unravel. The man's eyes were sharp, as if he could see straight through me. His presence filled that dingy motel room like a shadow swallowing the light. He didn't wait for me to invite him in. He just stepped inside, closing the door behind him with a click that sent a shiver down my spine. "Who are you?" I demanded, my voice rough from days of silence and sleepless nights. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he set the envelope down on the nightstand between us. His hand lingered on it, like it carried the weight of 1,000 secrets. Then, finally, he spoke. "Your name came across my desk because you were ruined. Bankrupt, divorced, betrayed. But the story doesn't end there. Not if you know the truth. I stared at him, my heart pounding. What truth? Who sent you? The man gave the faintest smirk, but his eyes stayed cold. I can't tell you who I work for, but I can tell you this: your wife didn't just leave you because she wanted a real man. She was planning it, long before she ever got sick. The words hit me like a slap. What are you talking about? He pushed the envelope toward me. My hands shook as I tore it open. Inside, I found photographs. Dozens of them. Emily, my wife, smiling in restaurants, holding hands with that smug, rich man I'd seen in the courtroom. But these weren't recent photos. They were dated months back. While I was working late shifts to pay for her treatments, she was already seeing him. In one photo, she wore the very necklace I had pawned my father's watch to buy. My stomach churned. My heart raced. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. She used you, the man said flatly. The cancer was real, but the loyalty, the love, that was gone long before you sold your soul to save her. I slammed my fist on the table. Why are you showing me this? What do you want from me? He leaned closer. Because I know what it feels like to be broken by betrayal. I know what it feels like to give everything, only to be left with nothing. But unlike most men, I don't just sit in motel rooms crying about it. I do something. His words cut me, but they also lit a fire inside me. For weeks I'd felt like a hollow shell, barely alive. But now, anger, raw and boiling, surged through my veins. What are you suggesting? I whispered. The man leaned back, pulling out a cigarette he didn't light. Revenge. The word echoed in the room like a gunshot. At first, I recoiled. I'm not that kind of man. She was my wife. Was, he cut me off. Not anymore. She's your executioner, Daniel. She killed the man you used to be. And unless you take back control, you'll die a shadow of yourself. I looked down at the photos again. Emily's smile. Her new lover's hand resting possessively on her waist. The life they were building on the ashes of mine. The man's voice was steady, almost hypnotic. I can give you the tools, the knowledge, but the choice is yours. For a long moment, the room was silent except for the hum of the flickering bulb above us. Then, slowly, I nodded. Tell me what to do. Over the next several weeks, my life changed. The man never gave me his real name, so I called him Mr. Gray. He was always dressed in dark suits, always calm, always in control. He taught me things I never thought I'd need to know. How to track a person without being noticed. How to dig through financial records and digital trails. How to wear masks, literal and metaphorical, to step into places I didn't belong. It wasn't military training. It was something colder, sharper. The kind of skills people use to expose corruption, to dismantle lives from the shadows. And all the while, I learned the truth. Emily hadn't just betrayed me emotionally. She had stolen from me. During her treatments, she'd funneled money I scraped together into secret accounts. Luxury goods, hidden investments, all in her name. And that new man of hers? He wasn't some random fling. He was part of it. A businessman who saw my desperation as the perfect cover to bleed me dry. Together, they had built an empire on my sacrifices. Mr. Gray slid a thick folder across the table one night. Inside were documents, account numbers, deeds to properties I never even knew existed. All in Emily's name. All purchased with the money I thought was keeping her alive. She didn't just survive cancer, he said. She thrived on your suffering. And now she lives like a queen, while you rot in a motel. Are you ready to even the scales? By then, there was no hesitation. Yes, I said, tell me how. Revenge isn't about rage, it's about patience, about precision. Step by step, we laid out the plan. First, I cleaned myself up. No more scruffy broken man in a motel room. I shaved, bought a cheap but sharp suit. Got a part-time job at a law firm, thanks to one of Mr. Gray's contacts. It wasn't glamorous, but it gave me access to information. Files, records, connections. Second, I played the long game. While Emily flaunted her new life on social media, vacations, parties, expensive cars. I stayed silent, invisible, watching, learning. I discovered her new lover, Michael, wasn't as bulletproof as he looked. He had skeletons in his closet, illegal deals, tax fraud, business scams, all carefully buried, but with Mr. Gray's help, I dug them up one by one. And Emily, she had a weakness too. Greed. She wanted more, always more. Even now, she was pressuring Michael to buy a new mansion, bigger than the last. She didn't know the foundations of his empire were already cracking. "We'll make her greed her downfall," Mr. Gray told me. "We won't just hurt her, we'll let her destroy herself." The first time I saw Emily again after the divorce was almost surreal. She walked into a gala event, draped in a glittering gown, diamonds around her neck. Her laughter carried across the room, sharp and cruel, the same laugh she'd used when she said she wanted a real man. She didn't notice me. Why would she? To her, I was gone, forgotten. But I watched her all night, every smile, every glance she gave Michael, and I knew deep down that her empire was built on lies. I wasn't there to scream at her, not to beg, not to cry. I was there for one reason only, to prepare the ground for her fall. And as the night went on, I felt something shift inside me. I wasn't the broken husband anymore. I wasn't even the man who had once loved her. I was something else now, something sharper, something dangerous. The moment I saw Emily laughing at that gala, a crystal glass of champagne in her hand, I knew two things with absolute certainty. First, she had completely erased me from her life. Second, I was going to make sure she never forgot my name again. Mr. Gray was right. Revenge wasn't about screaming or throwing punches. Revenge was about silence, patience, and timing. And my timing was almost perfect. Michael, Emily's new lover, was the kind of man who thought he was untouchable. He had wealth, influence, and a hunger for power that made him reckless. But greed always leaves cracks, and I was determined to split those cracks wide open. With Mr. Gray's help, I had gathered every shred of evidence of Michael's shady business practices. Tax fraud, embezzlement, money laundering. Crimes that, if exposed, would not just destroy his empire, but drag everyone tied to him straight down with him, including Emily. Step 1 was simple. Plant the right seeds. I used a fake identity, a business consultant, with inside knowledge of high-level deals. Through careful networking, whispers in the right ears, and a bit of digital magic, I let rumors spread that Michael's empire was built on lies. Investors grew nervous. Journalists sniffed around. The air around him began to thicken with suspicion. Step 2. Lure Emily deeper into the trap. Emily's greed was her weakness. She wanted more than just comfort. She wanted luxury, status, to sit on a throne and look down on the world. So when Michael hesitated to sign a risky new property deal, Emily pushed him, hard. "Don't be a coward," she hissed at him during one of their lavish dinners, a conversation I overheard from a seat at the bar, thanks to a tiny microphone tucked in the flower centerpiece. She didn't know I was watching, recording, waiting. And step 3 was the kill shot. The public collapse. It happened during another glittering gala, this time at one of Michael's own properties. The ballroom was packed with investors, business partners, journalists, and socialites, the very people who held Michael's reputation in their hands. I wasn't supposed to be there, at least not as Daniel Hayes, the broken man Emily had tossed aside. I walked in wearing a tailored suit, clean-shaven, hair slicked back. Nobody recognized me. To them, I was just another face in the crowd. Emily floated through the room in a red gown, her diamond earrings glittering under the chandeliers. Michael stood beside her, shaking hands, boasting about his flawless track record. And then, right on cue, the lights dimmed for the presentation. A large screen lit up at the front of the room. Michael smiled, preparing to showcase his next big project. But instead of his polished slides, the screen flickered, and my video began to play. Gasps echoed through the ballroom as documents, spreadsheets, and bank transfers flashed across the screen. Michael's hidden accounts, proof of his fraud. Photographs of him meeting with known criminals. Every secret I had gathered was now on display, undeniable and damning. And then came the final blow. Footage of Emily herself, her laughter caught on a secret recording as she mocked me. He sold everything, even his wedding ring. What a pathetic fool. Michael, you're the only real man in my life now. The room fell silent. Emily's face drained of color. Michael froze, his jaw clenched, eyes darting wildly. The investors began murmuring, then shouting. Cameras flashed. Journalists scrambled for notes. In a matter of seconds, Michael's empire crumbled right there in front of him. Emily tried to step in, her voice trembling. This is fake, lies, none of this is real. But the evidence was overwhelming. Security moved in. Angry investors stormed out. Michael shoved her aside, his mask of charm cracking into pure rage. And I stood in the back, watching it all burn. For the first time in years, I smiled. The personal confrontation. Later that night, I found Emily sitting alone in the same ballroom, mascara streaked down her face, her diamonds looking worthless in the dim light. Michael was gone, arrested, or maybe already fleeing. She was abandoned, just like she had abandoned me. When she saw me, her eyes widened in disbelief. Daniel. I stepped closer, my voice steady. Yes, the fool, the loser, the man who sold everything for you. She stumbled to her feet, her hands shaking. You did this. Why? After everything. Why would you destroy me like this? I stared at her, the anger inside me now cold and calm. You destroyed me first. You didn't just leave me, Emily. You took everything. My money, my children, my dignity. And you laughed while I bled. Tears welled in her eyes. I was scared, Daniel. I wanted security. Michael promised me. I cut her off with a bitter laugh. Security? You had security. You had love. You had a man willing to burn his own life to keep you alive. But that wasn't enough. You wanted more. And now, you have nothing. She reached for my arm, desperation in her touch. Please, help me. We can start over. I'll make it right. For the kids. I pulled away. No, Emily. You don't get to use them as a shield anymore. They'll know the truth one day. They'll know who their mother really was. Her knees buckled, and she sank to the floor, sobbing. But I felt nothing. No pity, no anger, just closure. In the weeks that followed, the fallout was massive. Michael was arrested on multiple charges. His empire collapsed, investors turning on him like wolves. Emily's name was dragged through every headline, every news broadcast. Her betrayal exposed to the world. And me? For the first time in years, I breathed freely. The courts revisited my case. With Michael gone and Emily disgraced, custody of my children shifted back to me. The day I held them in my arms again, their little faces pressed against my chest, was the day I felt whole again. We didn't go back to a mansion or a luxury life. We moved into a small, cozy house. I found steady work, rebuilding myself piece by piece. And every night, when I tucked my kids into bed, I promised them and myself that our home would be built on love, not lies. One evening, after the kids were asleep, I sat alone on the porch, staring at the stars. Mr. Gray's words echoed in my mind. She killed the man you used to be. He was right. The Daniel who once believed love was blind, who thought sacrifice was always rewarded, that man was gone. But in his place stood someone stronger. Someone who had walked through fire and come out forged in steel. And as I sat there, I realized something. Revenge doesn't heal the scars. It doesn't bring back what you've lost. But sometimes it gives you the strength to start again, to reclaim your life from those who tried to bury you. So if you're listening to this, if you've ever been broken, betrayed, or abandoned, remember this. You are not powerless. You are not worthless. And sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying them. It's rebuilding yourself so strong, so unshakable, that they can never touch you again. And that is exactly what I did.